Never Let Go is directed by Alexandre Aja. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce his name. It stars Halle Berry and is set in the woods where you have Halle Berry plays a mother and her two sons who are basically having to survive out from what is only described as the evil, and she pretty much has her sons end up tying ropes together where they have to basically keep themselves separated and must not ever let go when they're wandering around in the woods and stuff, as the rope basically is tied to the house to where that keeps them safe. And there's a little more to it than that because it deals with a lot of other stuff that goes on with the stuff that's involving with the with the evil that's lurking around. But I'll leave it there. Now here's a little backstory. Now this movie was directed by Alexandre Aja, who I actually have become a really big, massive fan of. He's directed some of my favorite films, included The Hills Have Eyes remake, Piranha. He also directed Piranha 3D, which I really enjoyed, and he also directed a few years ago Crawl, which I really enjoyed as a great creature feature. And so the guy really has made his name in the horror business and everything, and it's great to see him come back with stuff like this. I've always been a massive fan of the guy, and I was interested in how this movie was going to turn out, but because this seems like a weird year that we've been seeing with a lot of these like entity or evil lurk in the woods type of movies that we've seen this year, like with movies like The Watchers. We also had The Strangers, Chapter 1, and among others. So this seems like a really big year that we see a lot of these. And so going in the trailers, I was interested, but I kind of just kept it open-minded because I didn't really think much of it. And after upon seeing the film, I can say that this was actually good. I do have a major con. I kind of hold the movie back from being really great. But for the most part, I really did enjoy this movie a lot, and it definitely captures a lot of that claustrophobic feel of being in the woods and stuff. Now, to get my pros out of the way, I thought Halle Berry in this was fantastic. You know, I've always liked her as an actress and a lot of other movies she's done, and here she really gets to showcase a lot of what she does on the very someone who's been through a lot of stuff with not only taking care of her kids in the woods, but also you get to some backstory that she had in over past and everything, where she's definitely seen some shit. And the way that she goes throughout the movie, where she hasn't really slept much, hasn't been eating and everything, like it's all really captures a lot of her performance, and she really goes for it in this. And she was just such a blast. I got to really appreciate the boys too in this. The two actors, the two kids that played the sons. I thought they were really great, and they really held their own with trying to survive in the woods and stuff. And they kind of go through other different means of trying to survive, whether it's basically eating bugs and all kinds of stuff. And it gets to the point where it almost becomes like a tale of survival of, there gets to a point where kind of things raise some stakes higher as the movie goes along. And that's one of the things I really appreciate with the movie too, is how when it dives into, because it is more of a slow burn where it's diving into the whole surviving out in the woods and everything, and being able to cope with the whole family against evil and stuff, because basically the whole point is that Halle Berry wants them to stay in the house as it wards off evil spirits and everything. And once they're in the house, that the evil can't get to them. But the thing I find myself very interested in this is that you're really not too sure about whether or not it's the evil that's lurking around, or if it's actually Halle Berry actually going just kind of crazy and stuff. I appreciate the movie is dealing with a very interesting direction with trying to take where you're not really too sure if things are real or if they're not real. And I really appreciate movies like that deal with the whole kind of what's real and not real a lot approach, because a lot of movies get away with not only having a great direction but also misdirection of what you see that can be, whether it's actually happening in real life or if it's just like a hallucination or something. So that was very fascinating, but also the creepy moments that do happen, especially I'm not going to spoil anything, but it has to do with something that has to do with basically later on in the film, has to do with kind of a caterpillar or something like that. I'll leave it there. I thought it was not only very intense, but also it had really good suspense the way it was playing out, because it had something that threw me off. And so there's that, and then also the way the claustrophobic setting really fits the mood well, and it's very atmospheric with the woods. And the kind of dreamlike type of approach the movie goes with is very interesting, because it has some pretty disturbing stuff in the film that I found myself really captivating and watching that happens a couple times. And there's also something that happens toward later on in the film that I didn't really see coming at all, because it kind of just happened so fast and it really threw me off. That, and one of the other things I got to appreciate in the movie too is that it also deals with there's a part that involves with a slow a slowed down version of Candy Mountains playing and stuff. I thought was really great the way it played out, and I'm glad to see more movies are doing that whole approach where you hear the slowed down music and playing and when things are going down in that very creepy moments. Now, if I do have to get into some of my cons, we'll have to say the biggest thing for me that that holds the movie back quite a lot from being great is that when it gets to its third act, or in this case with the ending, it starts to get into stuff that I felt like we could have had a better resolvement, so to speak. And maybe if the movie kind of went on a more ambiguous level, it didn't have to actually explain how everything was going on, because it almost felt like had the movie would have gone with that very what you know and don't know kind of approach, where you're kind of just guessing in your own head of how the ending plays out, I think would actually resolve better than what we got. And I'll leave it there because it has to do with how everything is all tied together. So that's really the biggest thing for me. And also there was a couple times, and the pacing can get a little dragged out a couple points. And with that, I just feel like it could have done a lot better than what we had. And so with that, I'm going to give the movie a compelling grade on the Film Freaks meter. And so for those of you who have also seen Never Let Go, let me know in the comments of what you thought about it. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next review. I'll see you later.